Of course, any type of reassessment like that has a huge cost to the taxpayers. Reassessment to reassess Susquehanna County would probably be $4 to $5 million. It would be a cost to the taxpayers to do. I think it was Wayne County, I think, was the one that tried to do it, and they spent up to about $6 million, and then they finally stopped and didn't finish the reassessment. My concern, of course, there is once you create another state agency to oversee it and take all that authority away from the local levels, you're one step closer to having, as you so eloquently have put it, a world court that's going to control everything and we'll have nothing. So we need to be very cautious about this and make sure that we don't allow this to happen. So with that being said, I'll now open it up to public comment. Yes.
Apropos to all of this, when will budget discussions begin for the new budget for next year?
Budgets have been, budget information has been sent back out to the departments now, correct? Right, they've been sent back out to the departments now for the departments to start working on their numbers and to provide those numbers back within a couple of weeks so we can start reviewing them.
And will you have public hearings on these things?
Well, we'll have the commissioners' meetings, but at this point there won't be any public hearings on the budget.
So the public will never be involved in hearing beforehand. Is that the case, or will you be reporting at commissioners' meetings what you have in the budget?
Well, I'll be reporting at commissioners' meetings what we're doing with the budgets. We've already put out a request to the department heads that any controllable items be reduced by 10% to try and drive down the cost of government. We're continuing to look at personnel throughout the county. Positions that don't need to be replaced, we're not going to replace, and positions that we think that need to be reviewed and possibly eliminated, we're going to continue to do that.
But overall, you don't expect that you will have a public forum, discussion, presentation of what the upcoming budget will be?
I think that the most we'll do is we'll announce at a commissioners meeting what our budget will be, and then the budget will be available for review on the counter for everybody to see.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
The last 2 weeks, the last meeting, you and I spoke after the meeting, and I asked you if you could possibly make a report of whatever you do between meetings to help the citizens who are complaining about any issues related to gas drilling and fracking. So have you been able to do anything to advocate the past 2 weeks that you can report to us?
As far as the last 2 weeks, yeah, I've had a couple other conversations with Sandy Majors in relation to the gas industry. As far as the other time, most of my other time has been spent working on other problems and issues right now.
So can you give any details what you said to Sandy Majors or what she said to you?
Well, our conversation was, as usual, that the concerns that we're making sure we're doing the right thing, that we're reviewing what's going on in the county and making sure that legislation's there and that state agencies are in place to help. And her response was that, to me, was that she had been in contact with DEP and other agencies, and they were on site and doing what they were supposed to be doing. Any other public comment? Yes.
Question: you said that there was estimated to be $400,000 to $500,000 for updating 911.
Right.
Does that include personnel and cross training, or is that only
No,
for the
that's
physical plant
just
operation?
hardware and software.
Would you be scheduling to look for new personnel to fill in the gaps that you're going to have, or are you going to cross train the staff you already have?
Well, the staff that we already have will be trained to handle that. I don't think anybody has a full grasp yet as to how much additional time or manpower it's going to take once you start receiving, video and text. You and I both know that when you receive a phone call, it's a real quick resolution. But if you start receiving text messages or you start receiving data or video, it could take quite a bit longer. And I think we're trying to wait and see. Everybody's trying to figure that out, and we're trying to see when the first groups get up and running, how much additional power it's gonna take to do that.
And now, as a former first responder, something that I've always seen that works best is when we roll out something at this level that we make it as inclusive as possible. So would callback or reverse calling be installed with this installation, or would that have to be handled on a case-by-case?
My understanding, and I'm still trying to get it fully up to speed on NextGen, my understanding with NextGen, all of that capability is gonna be there, reverse calling and everything. Any other public comment? Yes.
The Economic Development Board recently gave an award to Cabot Gas for being the Business of the Year. And who sponsors the Economic Development Board? Is that a county office? Who pays for that board and their salaries?
I don't think there's any,
There is no pay.
yeah, there's no pay.
It's a volunteer group?
It's a volunteer group. The Economic Development is a committee that's approved by, appointment is approved by the Commissioner's Office.
So you approve who's on the board?
Mhm.
How many are on the board?
Currently, there's what, because we have a couple open positions, 5 on the board right now, yeah.
And I'd like to know how they were able to give Business of the Year award to a business that has 450 violations in our county since 2008.
Well, I would suggest you talk to the chairman, which is
And who is
John
the
Kameen.
chairman? Who is it?
John Kameen.
John Kameen?
Yeah.
And ask him why he made such a decision for a company that has so many violations.
Bruce, you have any?
Yeah, first I'd like to thank the board, and you especially, for responding, hopefully to constructive criticism 3 weeks ago about bringing information forward. So thank you, especially for the 9/11 information, et cetera. And here comes the clincher. I really think that those things should be recorded in the minutes for posterity, as prescribed by the Sunshine Law. Secondly, are we looking at another tax above the $1.50 we just were assessed for 9/11?
Well, there is conversations that they've had in Harrisburg right now. They've been talking about increasing that. I don't know what to. I don't think it's going to be. I was hearing numbers like $1.90 or $1 or $2. I haven't heard anything else. Now they have created some other legislation that does create other taxes that could be imposed. They've created there's legislation to impose a earned income tax at the county level. There's also a legislation to impose a sales tax at the county level. So I mean. To me, it's like they keep creating ways for us to increase taxes here so that eventually I see all those tax dollars going there so that they don't have to keep increasing their taxes.
I have one final question. Why is the flag at half-mast this month?
Yesterday was 9/11 and the president wanted it down. I've tried to call maintenance twice this morning, but the department head of maintenance is out, so I had trouble getting a hold of them. It needs to go back up.
Yes.
Last time we spoke about the $1.50
Right.
tax, you had made a statement, and I think this is what you said, that the tax that's been imposed, the $1.50, is actually funding equipment and materials that are basically obsolete.
Right.
So on top, so that actually we're paying, that tax is actually paying for past expenses.
Well, it not only equipment, but it also pays for personnel.
Yeah, but basically
Salaries.
the equipment is obsolete. So so now we're looking at an additional tax, possibly to upgrade equipment. Is that what you said?
No, well, locally, no. At the state level, the state may increase that $1.50 tax.
Okay.
Because they don't have enough money coming in to fund 911 at its current level. They can't even begin to upgrade it because they can't even fund it at the current level. If we made no more changes in 2 years, there would be no more. They would already have spent the following years, all of the following year's money, and that's the problem they're facing. And the problem isn't so much the $1.50 on what they're collecting. The big problem is the money they're not collecting on the prepaid phones, because the prepaid phones are not